We are continuing our celebration of our Craig Worth's work in his milestone 50th year in broadcasting. In his 5,000 reports, we found one favorite that's topical and tropical. In light of President Trump implementing stiff travel restrictions to Cuba last Thursday, it will be much harder to see the Cuba that Craig showed us in his ABC4 documentary 4 years ago. So tonight, we revisit the island nation that was out of our view for so many years and is now again restricted. Here's Craig.
Well, it was amazing. Now, who would have ever guessed that me, a baby boomer who grew up in the Cold War, would be able to go all over Cuba? Now, I pulled out some pieces of the documentary. Oh, and of course, I included the old cars. Nearly everything about Cuba was a surprise. There's been a mystery about Cuba, a land hidden from America, frozen in time, full of stories of Havana nights and tropical days. And a story of people hidden from our view for nearly 60 years. We saw Havana, but also the remote areas that were hidden from us during the long Cold War. A Cold War that surfaced during the CIA Bay of Pigs invasion, marked by a propaganda display. Even the Bay of Pigs itself was a surprise. It is a tourist spot for picnics and perhaps is one of the most beautiful ocean views that you'll ever see. It is one of the most popular areas on the southern shore of Cuba, located not quite 100 miles southeast of Havana. The Bay of Pigs invasion was in 1961, just after the embargo. It was about our last sight of Cuba, and it left it locked in the 50s in our minds. And at the top of our 1950s memories was the sound of Havana nights. Well, everything you may have heard about Cuba and music in the 50s is true.
Cuba, Brazil, and the United States, the country with the largest amount of great musicians. And we have given to the world somewhat unique rhythm. Think about mambo and cha-cha-cha and salsa. So this is a lane of music.
You still see the remnants of that Cuban nightlife that made it all famous 60 years ago. Some are still open, some are just memories, such as the Lafayette in Havana. Oh, those Havana nights. From the first moment you get here, you see the old cars.
These cars were made with the steel of the Second World War, and they were built to last forever.
You know, you can talk about politics, you can talk about change, but you can't leave here without talking about cars. Now you will note I shot video of a lot of these from the side or the back of the car. No, you don't want to get in front of them.
Cars got no brakes. Even if they tried, it's 70 years old. American cars were famous because they were sturdy and great, but I have to tell you something, they didn't have great brakes. Even if they tried to, it is impossible to stop.
But they certainly do move. Manny calls it the world's largest classic car museum.
You know, this is everyday cars. So we like when people come in and say classic cars. They say, no, these are the everyday cars.
Now an obvious question seems to be, how do you keep them going? Can you imagine keeping your daily driver going for 70 years? Or this Chevy, which has been at it in the heat of Cuba for decades, especially as there are no parts for these cars.
We make spare parts with our hands.
So it seems like a good time to get into the old pink car and take a ride through Havana. Now it appears that there's no speed limit. Well, for that matter, any laws of the road. For safety, I hung out of the bouncing car taking this video. And kids, don't try this at home. Only on a hot afternoon in Cuba. And we end this selection from my documentary, The Way Havana Has Ended Each Day for Hundreds of Years. A soldier fires a cannon. This traditionally says the walled city is now closed for the night. Now, I wanted to bring home one of those cars, but all I could get was this Cuba license plate. You know, I think I know a great trick. It would be to put this on someone's car and watch them get stopped with a Cuba license plate.
They'd have trouble explaining that one to the
what is your
local
car
police.
that you're driving out there?
I'm not going to tell you. So you went before President Obama eased the travel restrictions in 2016.
And actually I was there when he did that, but yeah, we had gone before. And what had happened, I was on a religious permit. I also worked for the Episcopal Church here, and that permit gave us lots of freedom to shoot all over the place, something that's just going to be a lot harder to do now. And you know, I have to look back and say, as we're looking at my 50 years, this is one of the most favorite things I ever did, going to Cuba. It was fascinating.
Wow. Well, thank you for taking all that video and sharing it with us.
And the license plate. It's on your car tonight. You ought to look.
I'll have trouble explaining that one. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.